Woli Arole. I love you guys. If I don't find, I see you. Awesome stuff you're doing. Give me away. Yeah. Jao. Baby DJ. Waiting for Mr. Tope. You're waiting for an iconic figure in the edutech industry in Africa. Forbes. Oh, Chiamaka. A big shout out every day. I keep shouting out to my team. T-Baby. Awesome. MC Bleach comedian. Osande. Big shout out to all my fans. Baba Tunisha, I see you. God bless you. I see you, Joy. I see everybody in the building. Hey. What's wrong with my DJ? Oh. This is how we roll. You and I, money and light, my number one baby. Nothing but blues. Yeah. Can you say? I can't deny. That's right. Understand, baby. No one but you. And we're waiting for Mr. Tope. Hey, nah. I'm excited. We're waiting for Mr. Sheyales. Show me whether it's going global. We're waiting for Ole. They're gonna continue, guys. We're waiting. You're waiting for a man I love and respect so much. Forbes, iconic, legendary, education and technology. Awesome team T-Baby, come. When I call your name, you respond. I don't be my phone. You know, share Empire. Awesome guy T-Baby. God bless him for me. Awesome. I love you. 100% respect. He's an awesome guy. He's into PR and also CSR. You can reach out to him, send him there. Now, come. Every time you're behind the scene, but no.
Arole. Arole.
Spend the dollar. Pound sterling. Devil giver. Opa.
Is it the one you're sending to me? Arole.
CMO.
Hey, Chief. Arole
Olówó kì í pariwo jù. Tálíkà ló máa ń pariwo sà.
Arole Olódùmarè.
CMO.
Hey, Arole Olódùmarè.
The rich really makes noise.
Well, I like
there are some areas you will be staying. Yeah. You don't need to shout.
Okay, tell me about that.
Thank you. Banana Island, kò sí ariwo níbẹ̀ daddy. Baba, ẹ farabalẹ̀. Dolphin Estate, Káfàtà. They don't make noise there. Ọgbà, Ọbáwọlé, Ìkòròdú. But nice having you here, Mr. Tope. I'm so grateful. I love you so much. I respect you. You know, they say that the big Egu is the one that carried the Higbale. Because I thank you for a special moment. I cannot just suddenly unleash a Forbes. No, not at all. Not at all. Firstly, I must say a big thank you to everything you've done for me. Guys, before Mr. Tope say anything, this is one of my destiny helpers. One that God sent to my life. Oh, you have not delivered it. I want to say a big thank you for everything you've done for me, from my movie to my life to everything. I'm connected to millions of people across the world. They're going to watch this and watch this after now. I want to say thank you, Mr. Tope. Thank you. Everybody just type thank you, Mr. Tope. I know why I'm saying that. Thank you so much. Your breed is rare. You're just an awesome person. And your wife is also saying a big thank you. She's watching. Mrs. Fola Ogunsemo. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
I can see Tola there too.
Don't mind Tola that I say thank you, daddy. Who is your daddy? What about
I can see Tola there too. I can see Tola
Don't
there.
mind me. Don't mind me. He's saying thank you, daddy.
Let me see
Don't
Tola.
mind Tola.
Let me see him.
Come. He said they want to see you. Oh, thank you.
Hey, Tola, how are you?
Grandpa.
How is this lockdown treating you?
I am looking like John the Baptist.
I mean, it's good. Eh?
I am looking like John the Baptist. And I am Jesus.
Are you serious?
Jesus Christ of Obawale.
Oh my God.
Of Obawale. I know you have a very big. Can you see someone say on behalf of Arole? Can you see people are thanking you all across the world?
Oh, my regards to all of them.
And they're saying thank you, that we love you, that we really, really love you. You know what I'm talking about?
My regards to every one of them.
Now, Mr. T, I know you're busy and I need to eat this head on. And this is where we're starting from.
Okay.
By the time I put the name out, I was bringing you a lot of my fans and people across the world started sending me questions that they would love to ask you. And one of the questions they asked me is that, you know, you've become a very huge figure in the education system in Nigeria. And not just education, you had a blend of education and tech. And you've delivered awesome stuff in that particular space. Mr. Tope, how were you able to, you know, to get to that point where, you know, your works are wonderful, your company is doing awesome deliveries in the education industry in Nigeria? Did you just stumble on it? Did you read about it? How has it been?
Okay, Arole, thank you. But first of all, let me correct that notion that, because I saw the poster And when I read the poster, I'm like, you're trying to set me up. And so I don't get misconstrued. I like to make it clear. I didn't just go into the edtech space. So for a lot of people who are entrepreneurs would think that maybe I just started one business one day and I became very successful. So I always like to clarify that. Before I even started my business with edtech, I was already doing some things in engineering. And I must tell you, I laid my hands on so many things. And I can tell you that I failed. And I'm always proud to say it. But one thing or one story that is always common to me, and I like to talk about it, is something that I be proud to say all the time, is a story of how I even got into the edtech space. And how when I left my high school and I needed to proceed to the university abroad, I needed to get my transcripts, and that transcript wasn't just forthcoming. Now, I think that was the story that made all of this edtech thing that I'm doing today, made it very easy. So many years after that time, I haven't failed in several of businesses. I now figured that same vacuum that was there, so many years ago, nothing has actually changed. It was still there. So I went there and tried to keep myself. Now, not only that it was an opportunity that I had, because some people will say, okay, maybe he knew somebody, or maybe he used money, or maybe from a wealthy. I mean, I've gone to several events to speak, and somebody stood up and said, "We hear you're from a very rich background." No, don't even do that. I started with zero. I didn't have anything. I started like every other normal Nigerian, like every Nigerian. And what I think I did at that time, which I think will be a peg for anybody who is watching this, was to observe the sector in which I was going to make a difference. I looked at what was going on in that sector at the time and looked at how I could have a better value. I could move some steps ahead of what the people who were there were currently doing. And that was what I did. And it was a game changer for me. So I brought something that was more valuable on the table. And for me, it wasn't really about money. It was something I was passionate about. It was something I just wanted to do. I wanted to make a statement by providing a solution that will help the next generation, you know? So it was from passion and value. And before you know it, it became success. So what we just did was to leverage on technology and following best practice. And that was how I think we became successful in the edtech space. And not only that, we did all of that, we also built a system that could allow to scale. So I think a lot of mistakes the entrepreneurs or the younger ones make these days is you want to start a business and think that maybe in another 6 months or 2 months, you start to live the best of life. You start to, people are not thinking of the future. They're not thinking that this business, you need to measure your business with some level of milestones and see how if you're actually doing well or you're doing badly, So those were the things that I think we kept into consideration that allowed us scale. And that's how the story now I'm hearing, Tope built an edtech space, edtech solution, and it makes about so amount of dollars every year, blah, blah, blah. There's so many stories like that. But then, I don't know if you've seen that movie, John Walker, that self-made story. Have you seen that? That's on Netflix.
I need to go watch it. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. What that woman went through in business, I can tell you for free that I went through almost every stage. There are times that I felt that I couldn't move on. There were times that I felt this competition or the kind of hurdles that the environment has created for us would not make me excel. But guess what? Sometimes I go to bed and I tell myself these hurdles to me also serves as motivation to actually push forward, to forge ahead. You know, so all of those things I actually pass through almost everything. Almost everything. There are things that I would not want to say, on here, but I can tell you one that I remember that year I had this presentation that I was supposed to do, and that presentation would have blown my business to another level. My competition went ahead and said everything, did everything possible not to allow me to do that presentation. I'm telling you, because we're launching out a bigger project. So those things are the things that some entrepreneurs will pass through, but if they are resilient, you know, and you're resolute, you would forge ahead no matter what the kind of obstacle. Those obstacles themselves, in most times, they're actually even good. Because if you see anybody who started a business and from A to Z, he just became successful and he said, oh, I didn't pass through, it's a lie. I can tell you. Or that business will not last for so long. I can tell you for a fact. If anybody is experiencing that now, it's so rare, but if it's possible, that business will not last. Maybe people started knowing about Krystal maybe about 3-4 years ago, but I started this business 10 years ago. Yeah, I started this business 10 years ago. So, but people started hearing of the success and the story maybe in the last maybe 4 years. So between that first maybe 5 years, we went through hell. We went through stuffs. But here we are today. We have a good story to tell.
I learned a lot, Mr. T. Resilience doesn't mean there won't be obstacles, doesn't mean there won't be challenges. Just stay true. 10 years. This man did not, they'll say that he came from nowhere. Tope did not come from nowhere.
No, I didn't.
It's a lie.
I didn't.
And a big shout out to the cases in the building. He's a King's College product. No, I'm talking about.
Who's that?
This is Tope.
Yeah.
King's College. I also went to KC, King's College.
Are you serious?
The one in Ibadan.
You're an up school. You're an up school. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I heard you guys say something like up school.
I went to government college, but you can't compare government college with King's College. You know, we are not mates.
I'm sure you're joking. But then again, I can forgive you because we shared some pedigree together. I remember that those days in school, we used to have this cricket competition. And it used to be, we call it kids. It used to be King's College, Igbobi College, GCI, Government College Ibadan.
Government College Ibadan. Government College Ibadan.
And St. Gabriel. So those 4 schools we used to have, we shared that pedigree of sports over the years. So I can forgive you, but when you talk of every other thing, please don't come out and talk. Please, please, please. Just try and behave yourself.
Mr. Tope, okay, sincere, let me tell you, because you are my helper of destiny and because you are strategically positioned, I will apologize on behalf of Government College, but I must say that King's College have amazing products. Sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
King's College. But should I shock you? Do you know that there was a particular time? It was because I didn't have the chance of going to King's College. That was why I went to Government College, because I also love King's. Don't say this. It's not public. People don't know. You get my so.
I know a lot of people say that, so no problem. I'm not just hearing that for the first time. I hear that all the time.
Mr. T, I know you have a lot you're doing. You're very busy. And I must say that thank you for, I can't count the number of people that you've actually helped. Thank you. I'm one of them, and we are so grateful. Omo Baba is saying a big shout out to you. I just saw him. A lot of people are coming in. Some don't even type, they just view, our stuff just to
oh my God.
A lot of people are coming. They are saying a big thank you. And guys, Guys, you need to do a favor for me. Just be following TMO. I've pinned his handle down. And once you get to his page, bombard his DM all over the world and be saying thank you on behalf of Arole. Thank you. And my producer of the call is here as well saying thank you to you. Just be saying thank you. This man has sponsored, I can't count the number of giveaways Mr. Tope has sponsored to people on my page. I can't count. I cannot. It will just be Arole, all those your followers. Let's give them something. He's just that kind of person. So bombard him today. I want to show him. I've been looking for a way to embarrass him with Thanksgiving. I'm trying. That is justified to saying thank you. I want something to happen to him. DM like 2,000, 4,000 people. You say what? Just say thank you. That's all. Thank you for what you have done.
Thank you to them as well. Thank you.
And what will we do? What will we do? You know what I'm talking about? What you are about to do. What is about? What you are about. Mr. T. Oh, yeah. Saying right from school, Tope is a great man. They know you. Ty underscore. People know you. You think they don't know you? You have cast. They know you are a lady. They know you.
We try.
So, Mr. T, before you leave, this question is so germane, and I asked most of my guests, sir, is COVID-19 is pandemic period all across the world. Some people are home. The lockdown is affecting energies, the whole energy is down and everything. Mr. Tope, from an entrepreneurship angle, as a normal, as a Nigerian, as someone that is passionate about people, what advice can you give everyone at this period, most especially in Nigeria, on what can we do? How can we maximize this period? What can we do to maximize such a time?
Thank you, Arole. First of all, I like to say that it's a double pandemic. Not everybody is saying that. But before I go into that, let me first let people know that this period, and maybe just after this period, there will be a lot of people should be aware of a lot of Ponzi scams because a lot of them will come up. But let me go back to your question. Now, I mentioned it's a double pandemic, and not everybody is really fully aware. The other time you were having a conversation with my brother, JJ, right? And I remember he said, if you can do whatever you can within your capacity, just ensure that you survive this period. And I was going to ask him, and I was going to continue. I mean, what he said goes without saying in his words, and it goes without saying, I must be said. It's good to survive this period, but it's also good to think about what the future is. Now, the pandemic itself, the current pandemic itself, for me, I think it's a time to reflect on what we all do. A lot of things that used to be impossible before are now becoming the new norm. Before, it would take me maybe thousands of miles to go for maybe speaking engagements, or hundreds of miles to go and speak, and to gather people together and speak for maybe 30 minutes or 1 hour. Now, with a platform like this, you're connecting your 1.6 million followers to have this kind of engagement. I'm sure it's less expensive, So those are the things that this kind of pandemic is already creating. Now, apart from that, if we look at the industry where I currently run, learning is not something that we appreciate in Nigeria. I mean, in Africa, maybe Kenya, South Africa, Rwanda, they've adopted and adapted it into their system. But it's something that has taken us maybe a bigger political will to approve or to adapt it into our system. But with what is going on now, you see everybody calling. I have my colleagues, a lot of them are calling that their kids, they're sending them, they're connecting with them, collaborating with them with Zoom. teaching them from school, so they now have to pay school fees even at this pandemic period. You get what I mean? So the pandemic itself is creating an opportunity, endless opportunity, right? Which is good. It's changing the way we live, the way we do business, the way we talk, the way we interact, you know, which is good, right? It will be a very good time for a lot of entrepreneurs, just as I did so many years ago, looked deeper into what was obtainable and saw how I could do my things differently. And that was how I think I broke even. It would be another good opportunity for any entrepreneur at this time to think of what is currently even available. For instance, I see a lot of people using Zoom. I see a lot of people using WhatsApp business. I see a lot of people using WhatsApp groups to, you know, but some people can go ahead and even design something even way better than that, which is localized. You know? So that's an opportunity, right? But beyond that, let's be realistic to ourselves. Like I told you, it's a double pandemic. For me, nobody prepared for a pandemic like this. Nobody knew that a time in our lifetime we'll go through something like this. Is global. The last time the world experienced something like this was Second World War. I wasn't around that. I wasn't born that time. But it's so historic that everybody talks about it. This particular pandemic as well will in hundreds of years to come, that if we don't prepare for another pandemic, people will talk about this, you know. Unfortunately, at this time, unfortunately, just while we're going through this pandemic, there is also another global pandemic, which is the global recession. Not everybody's not everybody's
global recession.
There's a global recession now. If you remember in 2016, we had we had a recession in Nigeria. Maybe it wasn't global at the time. But the last time we experienced this kind of global recession was in 2008, 2009. It took some countries a couple of years to bounce back. What that implies is that at the end of this pandemic, if I don't pray that this pandemic continues or lasts longer than it already is, but if we stay a little bit longer than we are, which we're already in a big mess, a lot of businesses that you see now would have a snaky recovery, meaning it will take them time. A lot of new businesses will come up, and that is where we need to position ourselves now, because there will be a lot of opportunities for new businesses. They used to look impossible, used to feel impossible before now, are now becoming the new norm. Meaning for any entrepreneur now, he will be good to think in between the line and say, okay, where do I really position myself? What am I really doing right? What am I doing wrong? Will I still be relevant in another 1 or 2 years? Because I must tell you the honest truth. I don't want to mention industries. Some industries will not be relevant in another maybe 1 year. It will be serious. A lot of people, just yesterday or this morning, I heard that a particular company had cut off, I think, 80%. Either Arik Hair cut off 80%. Last week, Virgin Atlantic, which is the biggest, the guy is a billionaire, Richard Branson, came out and said, government, if you don't come to our aid, Virgin Atlantic will be history. That's huge. Unfortunately, Virgin Atlantic, the guy, all his businesses revolves around hospitality, travel, and stuff. So this period with just this pandemic is affecting almost all of his line of business. A lot of businesses after this period will not be relevant. You can take that from me. A lot of industries, the country will enter into something called austerity measures. Even personally, we're going to enter into austerity measures. Things that we can do, we can lavish money on, we may need to have to start to rethink. Meaning people would have to think or realign or reshape their however they spend their money. So, but some industries will then come up and they will be the new money. So I think if there's anything that any young person or any entrepreneur needs to do now is to think of those things And think of, first of all, what you're doing now. A lot of people, as it stands now, I know they've already lost their jobs. Maybe they don't know yet, but maybe in another, I pray this thing doesn't last another 1 month. But then again, you and I know that even if the government says go back, everything has been unlocked, and we can go back to our businesses, it will not be the way it used to be before the lockdown. Life cannot just go back to normal almost immediately. Some are even saying that it's going to take maybe another 1 year. Some are saying it's going to take maybe another 2 years. We don't know actually, and can't say for a fact. But the effects might be a little bit hard on us. So it's good to start to think of these things and start to prepare ahead of it. Not just thinking of how to survive this pandemic. It's good to survive it, but also to think of how to survive the other pandemic, or how to position yourself and take advantage of the new pandemic. I've always said it, the future is digital. So whatever you do and you integrate digital, I think you'll be in the right place. That's what the future is already saying. And I mean, it's with this current pandemic situation, has already even emphasized that to us again, that whatever we're doing, we need to try and integrate digital, integrate technology, or leverage the technology to ensure that we're relevant. People need to think of relevancy. If not, we'll be issues. But I would like to give maybe some pegs to maybe, and I think at this time, first of all, I think he position ourselves very well after this pandemic. It will also be good to create an identity. What you're doing currently now is you have your own identity, and one of the things that may be different from every other person. I mean, you have 1,600,000 followers. I think it's just your brand. It will be a very good time for people to start to think of how to build their brand. Some people are already going to learn, but what are they learning? You need to learn what would help you transit to the new life. Because for me, we're going to move into a new life. So I think those are the things that we need to do. We need to use our strengths. Some people have strength in some areas. This is the best time to use that strength. Some people need to keep learning, and they need to be consistent in whatever they're doing. If I wasn't consistent, I think I would have fell along the roadside. There will be problems, there will be challenges, but then again, the world will come. So people need to think of that and think of the future. So that's what I think it is, Arole.
Mr. Tope, we can't but say big thank you. I know you're in Lagos managing a lot of stuff. When I put a call through to you in Abuja, you just had to create this time for us. I would learn a lot. You need to re-strategize at this time. You need to rethink. The same thing my producer, they called me this morning, and we're going back and forth on re-strategizing what we have in ground. You said something powerful.
You need to reinvent yourself as well. You need to reinvent yourself, just like you're doing now. You're already reinventing yourself, coming up with this show. Before you know it, this show might be the next show. This is a new future, so you're reinventing yourself. So for some people who are doing some things, they're thinking they're comfortable. By the time this pandemic stops, they will continue. It might be a very big lie. It might be a very big lie. You understand? So it's good that you're reinventing yourself, and that's the right thing to do. So I think you're already on the right path.
I love you so much, Mr. Tope. You're one of those that, when I have stuff, I come to meet you for ideas. We talk at length, crazy. I love you. I respect you. Your wife said I should give you a big shout out. She's a fan of our show. She watches us. Your two lovely kids are giving you a big shout out. On behalf of the whole team and crew, we are giving you a big shout out. My producer is giving you a big shout out. And people are running to your page as well to give you a big shout out. Thank you for everything you've done, for the giveaway you've done, for my life you've touched, people that you've touched as well. You are just one of these people that don't loud what you do, but we will loud on your behalf. You don't loud, we loud on your. We are, thank you so very much, Mr. Tope. And after now, thank you for. Oh, we are coming. We have something with a gift. The boys say they want to give Papa something
I've tried for us.
that you tried for us.
Oh,
And
really?
also, after all of this, thank you for that gift. I'm coming to get it. Thank you so much.
Oh
Thank you
shit!
so much.
Goodness!
Thank you. Oh God, yeah. Fulori. My wife back. Fulori.
I can see Dare justified. Thank you, Dare.
Hey!
Thank you so much. Tola is the hype man. Kò ní iṣẹ́ mọ́ tí ẹ mọ̀.
So who is the DJ?
Jerry, we have just have to reinvent ourselves. You can see our studio in our house. We shoot it.
Oh,
we are
that's good.
reinventing. We are NEPA take light. We are re-strategizing.
Wow.
We are repositioning. I want to say thank you, TMO. Thank you. Big shout out to Krystal Digital. You guys are wonderful. To every team, from the president and the receptionist to everybody, Mr. Tope, all of the, all of them, the male and the female, the guy that allows people to go in. We say big thank you. We are one big. Don't say anything. We are one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All over the world. All over the world.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I
don't know what you're talking about.
Shout out to all the staffs.
All the staff
of Krystal Digital, to the wonderful Ogunsemo family, to JJ, Tupumilori, and as we let you go and have your meeting, thank you so much. We love you. Celebrate you. Thank you for coming. TT, TMO. This song is for you.
Hype man. Hype man.
Kemo is shaking head. There is a meaning. Albert is even entering. People are entering. If Tiamo dance, if Tiamo shake head,
something is dropping.
And it's just Tola say you are fresh. Tola so.
You are an handsome man, sir.
Tola Musilara Tiamo.
You are gorgeous.
Tola,
I love you.
Don't mind you. Oh, baby, more Annie.
What did you get here? Oh, look at you all. Mr. Tope, we love you so much. Thank you for coming. Go have your meeting.
Thank you very much.
And keep rocking from Nigeria and going to Africa and shutting out the world. God bless you. We love TMO in the building. Give me music. Okay, because TMB is quite hyper today. Yes. I know how to get him in the mood. Take me home. TMB, don't run away. Yes. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you to TMO. I know what I'm talking about. Baba can just come and say, all those people that used to come and watch chat room, give them something. You know what I'm talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, follow TMO. I'm going to say a big thank you to him and a big thank you to everybody today that has come. I love you guys. We're going to be meeting by 3 o'clock again today. And we're having
They're amazing.
Tobe Bakre. And by 6 p.m., I'm having a friend, one of my friends, we grew up together, Remy Adeleke, all the way from Hollywood, Bronx in America. Is it Bronx? Bronx. Eh?
Bronx.
Yeah, Bronx. All the way from Hollywood. He starred in Transformer Last Fight. Albert, I know they drink anything before this show. It's just energy. It's just natural. Guys, I can't but say a big, big, big thank you to you. God bless you guys. And don't forget, after the pandemic and all of that, we're still going to the cinemas. We're still going to enjoy ourselves. And please, when we do that, don't forget to watch The Bind. God bless you. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful time.